The flag burned. Not literally, not yet. But the air shimmered with heat, the acrid tang of cordite clinging to the back of my throat. It was a heat that threatened to consume everything, to reduce the vibrant colors of the silk to ash. In my hands, the staff felt slick, coated in a film of sweat and something else, something thicker, warmer. I tightened my grip, the polished wood digging into my palm, a desperate anchor against the chaos swirling around me. Each breath was a gamble, a draw against the odds, hoping to pull in clean air and not another lungful of fire. Around me, the world exploded in flashes of orange and black, the staccato rhythm of gunfire a relentless drumbeat against the fragile shield of my resolve. The weight of the flag was immense, far heavier than its physical dimensions suggested. It was the weight of history, of sacrifice, of ideals that felt increasingly distant and fragile in this maelstrom of destruction. Each star, each stripe, represented a life, a dream, a promise. And here I was, stumbling through hell, trying to keep that promise alive, trying to keep the colors flying. The ground vibrated beneath my boots, a constant tremor that threatened to knock me off balance, to send me crashing into the dust, the flag falling with me. For a heartbeat, everything seemed to slow, the noise fading to a dull roar. I saw the face of the boy across from me, his eyes wide with terror, his lips moving silently, probably praying. He was so young, barely a man, his uniform too big, his face smudged with grime. He was a mirror, reflecting back the fear I tried so desperately to suppress. And then, the world exploded again, a searing pain ripping through my shoulder, sending a jolt of agony down my arm. I stumbled, but I didn't fall. The flag remained aloft. The memory of a different fire flickered in my mind, a fire that warmed instead of burned. A fire in the hearth of my grandfather's cabin, its golden light painting dancing shadows on the rough-hewn walls. He would sit there, a weathered map spread across his knees, tracing the routes of his own battles, his own journeys. He'd tell stories, not of glory or heroism, but of the mud and the blood, the fear and the loss. Stories that were meant to teach, to warn, but also to instill a sense of duty, a sense of belonging to something larger than himself. He was a quiet man, my grandfather, a man of few words, but his eyes held a depth of understanding that I could only begin to fathom. He'd shown me how to whittle, how to read the stars, how to track animals in the forest. But more importantly, he'd shown me the meaning of honor, the importance of standing for something, even when it meant standing alone. I remember the day he gave me the flag, his old war banner, faded and worn. It wasn't this one, not the one I carry now, but it was the seed, the genesis of this impossible task. He hadn't given it to me with fanfare or a stirring speech. Just a quiet, "Hold it tight, son. It ain't just cloth and color. It's the spirit of those who came before. Don't let it fall." His hands, gnarled and calloused from a lifetime of hard work, had trembled slightly as he passed it to me. I was young then, full of youthful bravado, eager to prove myself. I hadn't understood the weight of his words, the burden of his legacy. Now, with the taste of blood and smoke in my mouth, I understood all too well. The image of his face, etched with the lines of time and hardship, swam before my eyes. He was a beacon in the darkness, a reminder of the values that had shaped me, the principles that I was fighting to uphold. He had taught me to respect the flag, not as a symbol of blind nationalism, but as a representation of the ideals we aspired to, the promise of a better future. And now, as the bullets whizzed past, as the ground shook beneath my feet, I knew that I couldn't let him down. I wouldn't let the flag fall. Not while I still had breath in my lungs. The world narrowed to the space between Sergeant Major's back and the unrelenting hail. Every instinct screamed for self-preservation, for the blessed oblivion of the dirt, but the flag billowed, a defiant splash of color against the monochrome chaos. He gripped the pole tighter, knuckles bone-white, the wood slick with sweat and something else he didn't want to identify. Then came the explosion. Not close enough to kill, but close enough to deafen, to throw him off his feet. The flagpole slipped, the banner momentarily unfurling like a dying bird before he wrestled it back under control. Sergeant Major was down, a crimson bloom spreading across his shoulder. He roared, a primal sound lost in the din, and gestured wildly toward the crest of the hill. "Move! Get the flag up there!" His ears rang, his vision swam, but the order cut through the fog. He scrambled forward, crawling, pushing, the weight of the flag now a physical burden, a manifestation of the lives entrusted to its symbol. Each inch gained was a victory, each burst of enemy fire a personal affront. He could taste the metallic tang of blood in his mouth, unsure if it was his own or Sergeant Major's. He crested the hill, lungs burning, muscles screaming. The enemy fire intensified, a relentless storm seeking to tear him apart. He planted his feet, legs braced against the incline, and with a final, desperate surge of strength, raised the flag. For a heartbeat, time seemed to stop. The gunfire faded, the screams receded, and all that remained was the flag, snapping in the wind against a backdrop of smoke and carnage. He saw the faces of his brothers in arms, etched with determination, with fear, with a fierce, unwavering loyalty. He saw Sergeant Major, struggling to his feet, a grim smile on his face. And he understood. The flag wasn't just a piece of cloth. It was a promise. A symbol of sacrifice, of unity, of the ideals they were fighting for. Then the world erupted again. He doesn't remember the rest. The firefight, the reinforcements, the eventual, hard-won victory. He remembers flashes. The searing pain in his leg, the medic's frantic ministrations, the distant rumble of artillery. But mostly he remembers the flag, the weight of it in his hands, the feeling of it pulling him forward when all he wanted to do was collapse. The nightmares are different now. Not the chaotic explosions, or the screams of the dying. Now, it is the silence. The oppressive, absolute silence that descends after the battle. The silence that allows the memories to surface, unbidden and unrelenting. He sits on the porch swing, the rhythmic creak a metronome marking the passage of time. The sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, a beautiful, yet unsettling reminder of the fires he left behind. He takes a long drag from his cigarette, the smoke curling into the cool evening air, a fleeting comfort against the chill that has settled deep in his bones. His leg aches, a dull, persistent throb that serves as a constant reminder of the hill, the flag, the weight of responsibility. He runs a hand over the jagged scar, a physical manifestation of the wound that refuses to heal. It's not just the leg, though. It's the mind, the soul, that bears the deepest scars. He sees their faces in the flickering shadows. Sergeant Major, his eyes filled with a quiet pride. Ramirez, his young face frozen in a rictus of fear. Johnson, his laughter forever silenced. They are all there, trapped in the endless loop of his memory, a constant, silent chorus of the fallen. He tries to talk about it sometimes. With his wife, Sarah. She listens, her eyes filled with compassion, but he can see the distance, the inability to truly understand. How could she? How could anyone who hadn't been there, in that hell, comprehend the weight of what he carried? So he retreats. Into silence, into the solace of the night. He watches the stars, distant and cold, and wonders if they see him, if they see the flag, if they see the blood that stains its fabric. He wonders if they judge him. He knows he's not the same man he was before. The fire changed him, forged him into something harder, something more brittle. He carries the weight of the flag still, not physically now, but in his heart, in his mind, in the very essence of his being. It is a burden he will carry for the rest of his days. A burden of honor, of sacrifice, of a promise made on a blood-soaked hill. The world swam back into focus, a blurry canvas of smoke and ash. Elias tasted blood, felt its warmth trickling down his chin. His ears rang, a high-pitched whine competing with the ragged gasps of his own breath. He was lying on his back, the flag a tangled mess beneath him. He pushed himself up, wincing as pain flared in his shoulder. The fighting had subsided, replaced by an eerie silence punctuated by the crackle of burning embers. He saw figures moving in the distance, silhouetted against the orange glow. Friend or foe? He couldn't tell. He looked down at the flag, now blackened and torn, riddled with bullet holes. It was no longer a symbol of pristine ideals. but a testament to sacrifice, a tangible record of the hell they had just endured. He picked it up, its weight suddenly immense. It felt heavier than lead, heavier than grief, heavier than the responsibility it represented. As he clutched it, he saw the faces of his fallen comrades flash before his eyes. Young Martinez, always cracking jokes, now silenced forever. Sergeant Reyes, a grizzled veteran who had seen too much, finally finding peace in the chaos. And Anya, her fierce spirit extinguished too soon. Each bullet hole in the flag was a wound in his own soul. He staggered to his feet, the flag clutched tightly in his hand. The figures in the distance were closer now, their forms resolving into the familiar shapes of his unit. They saw him, and a collective gasp rippled through their ranks. He saw recognition, relief, and something else, all. They had thought him dead. He walked towards them, each step a monumental effort, the flag held high. As he approached, he saw Captain Harding emerge from the group, his face etched with worry. Harding's gaze locked onto the flag, his eyes widening in disbelief. "Elias, you made it," Harding said, his voice hoarse. Elias didn't speak. He simply held out the flag, offering it to his captain. Harding reached out, his hand trembling as he took it. He unfurled the tattered banner, holding it aloft for all to see. A hush fell over the survivors. They stared at the flag, their faces a mixture of sorrow and pride. In that moment, the flag transcended its symbolic meaning. It was no longer just a piece of cloth. It was a symbol of their shared trauma, their unbreakable bond, their unwavering commitment to each other. It was a symbol of their survival. As the sun began to rise, casting a golden glow over the ravaged landscape, Elias stood beside Harding, watching as the flag was slowly and reverently raised above the makeshift camp. The wind caught it, causing it to ripple and dance, its charred edges fluttering like the wings of a wounded bird. He closed his eyes, and for the first time since the ambush, he felt a sense of peace. The fire had taken so much, but it had also forged something new, a deeper understanding of what it meant to serve, a profound appreciation for the fragility of life, and an unshakable belief in the power of hope, even in the face of unimaginable darkness. The weight of the flag, the weight of the symbol and the blood, remained. But now, it was a weight he could carry. It was a weight they would all carry, together. And in that shared burden, they would find the strength to rebuild, to remember, and to honor the fallen. The flag, scarred and battle-worn, would fly again. A testament not to victory, but to resilience. A symbol not of conquest, but of enduring spirit. A promise that even from the ashes of despair, something beautiful and meaningful could rise.